श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Ananda Koti Vaishnava ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanand. Hare Krishna. Very five devotees on 6. Any challenge, or is just because of holiday, or is because of homework? Homework was easy. Now we'll not discuss about homework. When everybody is there, we'll discuss. Nana Shastra Vicharanayika Nipuno Sadharma Sanstapako Lokanam Hitkarino Tribhuvane Manya Sharanyan Karo Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajanam Nandena Mattaliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyo Sri Jiva Gopalako. We offer our respectful humble obeisances to Sri Goswami Vrindavan, who are very expert in scrutinizing and studying the scriptures with the aim of establishing Shad Dharma Sansthapan, establishing the eternal religion principle for the benefit of Lokanam Hitkarini, for the benefit of the people. They are honored all over the three world, three bhuvani, and they are worthy of taking shelter because they are absorbed in the loving service of Srimati Radha, Sri Radha Krishna. So let's offer our humble obeisances and special Rupa Goswami, who is the author of this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and by the founder of mercy of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. We are trying to understand what is bhakti and what are the different ways that we can execute devotional service. Kunkaroti Vachalam Bhagam Gayati Gayat Kripatam Ananda Siddhi. Okay, so just a quick before we came to this now, the purity of devotional service. So what was the third chapter that we discussed? Anybody remembers? Third chapter. Last time we discussed the third chapter. Eligibility. So what is the eligibility for practicing devotional service? Eligibility to begin is the attraction to Lord Sri Krishna, and eligibility to continue practice is the faith and knowledge. And based on the faith and knowledge, there are three types of categories that we discuss. What are the three types of categories? Kanishtadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, Uttamadhikari. And what is the prominent characteristics of Kanishtadhikari? Weak faith, little knowledge. Faith is very pliable, soft, soft, and knowledge is that, and his vision of God is Krishna is only in the altar. Is only altar. And next is a Madhyamadhikari. In Madhyamadhikari, what happens? Faith is very strong. So he cannot be swayed away. Whereas Kanishtadhikari can be swayed away, even if it's little bit here and there. Somebody says that, then he can be swayed away in the next moment. If somebody says that, oh, is this the real thing that we should practice? Then he is swaying away from that. Whereas Madhyamadhikari, faith is very,
but knowledge is weak.
Knowledge is also good,
But he
cannot defeat the argument. He cannot defeat the argument. And Uttamadhikari is
unshakable faith, and knowledge is also.
Knowledge is also very strong. He can defeat. He can make the people to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra.
Expert in the science of bhakti.
He is expert in the science of bhakti. and he sees Krishna everywhere. Whereas Madhyamadikari,
He sees the Krishna.
he has four type of exchanges. He loves Krishna, compassion for towards
He
the
does the devotees.
weaker section, friendly to the peer devotees, and
Stay away from them.
stay away from them. Nice. So this is Madhyamadikari, and Uttamadikari, he sees everywhere
He sees everywhere Krishna.
Krishna, and that is the shloka that you or Prabhu 2 Sarvacha Anya, that what is that shloka? So Bhagavad Gita 2.66 or 69. Yomam Pashyati Sarvacham Yash. Oh, sorry. 6.31. 6.32. Yomam Pashyati Sarvachmai Pashyati Tasyaham na pranashami Sachamena pranashati. So he is the one who sees Lord everywhere. And then we saw that there are some obstacles on the practice of devotional service. What are the obstacles on the practice of devotional service? Bhakti and Mukti. And what is Bhakti? Material, the desire for the sense gratification is there. As long as one has that desire for sense gratification, one cannot practice. And then both, whether it's Bhakti or Mukti, both are discarded. And then after that, the fourth chapter is completely dedicated for that. How?
Devotional services.
How Bhakti is the particular word devotional service surpasses. Depend on anything that one have to do, that some prerequisite is there. Once we do some prerequisite, and then only you can do that. Just like in our Bhakti stage, we have prerequisite, right? So like this, do we have any prerequisite that one can do, and only then one can practice Krishna consciousness?
No.
Let us see that. The execution and the perfection of devotional service is not dependent on any material consideration. So we saw that in first chapter, second chapter, where Mother Devaki said in third canto, 25th chapter, that Bhakti is completely in on anything. So what are the typical things that may externally appear that those are the factors which can contribute to any methods? Like for example, if you are practicing any methods or kriya, there is some prerequisites. So what could be some prerequisite? Now for example, so purity is the one thing, very good.
Faith. First, faith is
Faith,
Desire.
Attraction to the Lord.
attraction to the Lord. In typical life, for example, what about country, class, circumstances? Does it depend on any of the things?
Yes.
No.
No. Yes. No. No. Not for Bhakti.
Not for bhakti, but for many other things. So now let us see Jnana Yoga. So if you have to execute Jnana or Jnana, so what do you think that is a prerequisite before you practice Jnana Yoga?
Heart must be verified to great extent.
Heart must be purified.
Intelligence.
Yes. One should be disposed, intellectually disposed to also understand what is there. Otherwise, one cannot do that. What else? Discipline, very good. Austerities to some extent could be there. And most important that
Scrutinizingly study.
scrutinizingly study, and most important
No
that
material desire.
no material desire. He has to be there in the peaceful environment, right? He has to be in the peaceful, renounced, which is renounced in peaceful, renounced place where he can go and study. What about Ashtanga Yoga?
You need secluded place.
Secluded
You need secluded place.
Secluded place,
Regulation.
regulations,
Detachment.
detachment, austerities, rigid prerequisite that even the sannyasi can even think of that. What to talk about an ordinary person? Karma Kanda,
The rules. and
Opulence.
Rules, regulations.
Karma Kanda, how does the opulence depend on it?
Five
Here they need all the paraphernalia and all that.
Okay, very good.
So the of the paraphernalia.
Okay. So it's more depend on the external conditions. If you have to do yajna cannot be successful. You do some in auspicious time. It should be the auspicious time. There should be ingredients. To purchase the ingredient, we need the money. And top of that, there should be a qualified person to perform that yajna, right? So we can see that there are many all these things you see here. Every other process of self-realization is dependent on some external circumstances. The point here is that the point is being brought whether you take Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Karma Yoga, there is something that we are externally dependent. But when it comes to Bhakti, Bhakti is completely pure, free from any dependence on any prerequisites. We have seen that from the chapter 3 and 4, it's very clear that as long as one is materially inclined or desirous of merging into the spiritual effulgence. What is the merging into spiritual effulgence? Sayujjana. One cannot enter into the realm of pure devotional service. It is written here that devotional service has no cost, and as long as very first Prabhupada begins that as long as one is materially inclined or desirous of merging into the spiritual effulgence, one cannot enter into the realm of pure devotional service, because that is against the definition of the pure devotional service. Anya abhilasita shunya, jnana karmadi anavrita, anukulle krishna anushikana, bhakti uttama. So, bhakti cannot be performed, or one cannot enter into the uttama bhakti. One can perform bhakti, but uttama bhakti is not possible unless and until one is completely free from any tinge of material desire or any tinge of merging into the Brahman. And what is the problem that we have seen last time? What is the problem with bhakti or material enjoyment? Why one cannot enjoy, why one cannot go into the uttama bhakti realm?
One can't release the mellow.
Yes, because it's all about me and sense gratification. You cannot enjoy or you cannot taste that the nectarian rasa that actually you get from bhakti. What about mukti?
It is also self-centered.
It's a self-centric. It's a self-centric. Both are self-centric, sense gratifying intelligence or intent with that. So what are the common prerequisite? That was my question earlier. What was the one prerequisite, common prerequisite that one may have? Satyajit Prabhu said purity, before that good birth, and once if you properly execute of varnashrama dharma, then one can do that. Does bhakti depend on any of these things?
No.
No. And that is the topic of this particular chapter, that bhakti does not depend on birth, bhakti does not depend on purity, nor even varnashrama dharma execution. And today we'll see that Rupa Goswami giving the evidence for each one of them.
But when we do sadhana bhakti, some of these factors also is helping to do it properly.
Can you give please example?
Like for deity worship and our purity is most important, and cleanliness is important.
So when we say that bhakti does not depend on external things. How do you get purified? That you have to take some medicine, then we get purified and then do bhakti. Now our Sarvanath Prabhu is going to do Diti worship. So he did somewhere in some class, he enrolled for 1 month, he got purified and then, so how did he get purified?
Bhakti itself.
Exactly. So there is no extraneous things that bhaktis depend on anything other than bhakti. So you don't have to do anything. For example, we'll come to the point that the purity discussion, prayachitta. Now, when somebody gets something does something which is against the scriptural things, so then one has to do prayachitta. So you do prayachitta and then you get purified. But in bhakti, what is the prayachitta? Bhakti itself is a thing. By practicing bhakti, you get purified. So to get purified, when we say it is not dependent, it plainly means that it does not depend on anything outside of bhakti realm.
One doubt is that it's true. If we want to do bhakti, we can start from beginning. But Srila Prabhupada also prefers like we should do the very bhakti. In that way, we should follow the steps and proper execution of varnashram dharma and other things helps in the bhakti.
Help is different, but depend is different. There are something which may be favorable, you can do that, but it does not depend, and there is a execution. We'll come to the topic. The Rupa Goswami gives one after the other, at least 4 to 5 evidences. When we say that it may be favorable, but it is not dependent on that. Now in United States of America, South African countries, are they following Varnashrama Dharma? How many great devotees they have been come because of Srila Prabhupada's mercy? Didn't so many followers Srila Prabhupada had in the United States, South African countries where they did not know even Varna and Ashrama? Yes or no?
Yes.
So what is that? What does it mean? So that is the point, that what is the ISKCON relevant to all those things. We take example of our things, right? Where they following Varnashrama Dharma? How many acharyas come actually from those region? So it may be favorable, but does not mean that it will completely depend on that.
To start bhakti, all these are not needed.
Absolutely not needed.
After that we get all.
Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So the first topic is birth. Can you read the translation?
The scriptures,
Okay.
the scripture says that any human being is qualified for bhakti, just as everyone is qualified to take a bath during the month of Magha. Vashishta, while speaking to the king, has given that example concerning devotion to the Lord.
So just as everyone is qualified to take bath during the month of Magha, the scripture says that any human being is qualified for bhakti. Is there anything that because you are born only here, you can be qualified? Here, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu says that it is not like that. It is, in fact, it is a birthright for everybody to practice Janma Siddha Hakka. So that is the birthright for everybody, that one can practice Krishna consciousness. When we go outside and preach Krishna consciousness, do we ask Sri Ramchandra Prabhu, do we ask someone that are you from particular caste, particular religion, or are you born in only Bharat Bhumi? No, anyone practice irrespective of wherever you have taken up birth. In fact, it's not only for the human beings, even the animals can practice Krishna consciousness. And any example that we see?
Chaitanya
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when going from the Jharkhand forest, even the animals can go. And all are qualified. Now one may not practice, that is a different story. But anybody can begin, and there's so many examples that we all are qualified to practice Krishna consciousness. There is examples. What to talk about the human beings? Even the animals qualified. Somebody may say, okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu example is not now. It was 500 plus years. Now, is there any contemporary example? Yes, there are many contemporary examples. You would have seen that once it is one Malaysia, and there was a cow, and that cow would actually come to the temple every day. Every day that cow will come and hear the arati, and she will, the mother cow, she will go, Gomata will she go. So how is that she knows that one has to practice Krishna consciousness? We have examples here in SNGM temple also. One cow took a shelter of Krishna. One photo came in times of India, one bull that during the Srimad Bhagavatam Saptaha was there. So he would actually come exactly when it is going to start. He would actually stay there, and as soon as Bhagavad Saptaha, the class is over, he would go. And when the Bhagavad Saptaha is over, he did not come to that place, right? There was a dog in New Zealand. He used to come to Mangal Arati every day. And there was a crow, I don't know where it is there, but I heard that he used to come for Srimad Bhagavatam class. So there is an example of crow, there is an example of dog, there is an example of mother cow, there is an example of bull or ox that they can practice. So birth is not at all prerequisite for that. Otherwise, we of course, some devotees are by birth they are great, but we are not, may not be the great. So in Padma Puran it is said, Sarve adhikarino ye atra hari bhaktau yatha nrupaha. So what does mean? Sarve adhikarino ye atra hari bhaktau yatha nrupaha. What does it mean? Sarve adhikarino ye atra hari bhaktau. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is actually quoting that everybody is sarva. He did not say particular human beings or something, but everybody is qualified to practice Bhakti Padma Puran. We see that 1.2.6. What is 1.2.6? Very famous slogan. Savai Pumsa Paro Dharma Yathar Bhakti Tadaksade. Ahetuki Ahetu. It has absolutely no hetu. In fact, you should not come with some hetu. So it also means that you cannot have some hetu to practice Krishna consciousness. Does not depend on any particular hetu. It's open for anybody and everyone without any distinction. And in fact, it is the constitutional occupation of the living entity. Sarva adhikara hi atra hari bhakti. Adhikar for everybody that one should practice Krishna consciousness. It is open for all, the first paragraph, last line, it is open for all without any distinction, and it is the constitutional occupation of all the living entity. Page 47, old book, the first paragraph of the 5th chapter, and that Prabhupada writes that it is without any. And then Prabhupada immediately gives the example of Nityananda Vamsa. The Nityananda Vamsa, that so there were the people who are descendants of Nityananda, they were calling themselves for Goswami caste or Nityananda Vamsa. They claimed that practicing and spreading Krishna consciousness is only reserved to a particular class of the people. And then we know Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur defied all those things. And today you see, by the mercy of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Prabhupada has actually gone to the even further extent, and he did not even see whether you are Bharat Bhumi or something, all over the world practicing Krishna consciousness. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, opposition to the caste Goswamis. So this Nityananda Vamsa, so they further claim that the practice and spreading of devotional service belonged only to their particular class, which was known as Nityananda Vamsa. In this way, they exercised their artificial power for some time until Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the powerful Acharya of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, completely smashed their ideas. It was a great struggle for some time, but it has turned out successfully. It is now correctly and practically established that devotional service is not restricted to a particular class of the society. So once Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was supposed to go to a conference, what is the Brahmana and what is a Vaishnava? And since he was a Sikh, so he asked his son. And who was his son? Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. He went. And so, who's great? Whether it's a Brahmana great or Vaishnava great? And then there was a conference on the very first day he began to that, and he was glorifying, and everybody was saying, wow, this is what we need. And the day come next day, and then he defied everything. He said how Vaishnava is great, and they were actually putting their head. So he established that it is not by birth Brahmana or something, but it is only Vaishnava who can practice Krishna consciousness, and that is what's so important. And you can see here our Krishna consciousness, the relevance. What is the relevance to the page number 48 or the paragraph 4th or 3rd end. Our Krishna conscious movement in the Western world is based on the above mentioned proposition of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, our spiritual master. On his authority, we are claiming members from all sections of the Western countries. The so-called claim that one who is not born in Brahmana family cannot receive the sacred, cannot become high-grade Vaishnava, but do not accept such a theory because it is not supported by Rupa Goswami nor by the strength of various scriptures. So, birth is not at all a qualification criteria to begin Krishna consciousness. And Srila Prabhupada, example, as we said in 2015, when we are celebrating the 50th years of or 2016, 15 or 16. 15 was Srila Prabhupada 50th years travel to the United States, and 2016 was the 50th years of International Society for Krishna Conscious establishment, the foundation. And there were people came to Bengal, Kolkata, that 115 countries people came under one umbrella. What United Nations cannot do, that Srila Prabhupada mission has been, the mission has done that, bringing all the people irrespective of the class, creed, religion, anything, that actually brought under one umbrella. So there are examples here that Padma Purana in the sage Vasishtha tells King Dilipa, my dear king, everyone has the right, birthright, to execute devotional service. Just he has the right to take early bath in the month of March, December, January. So Padma Purana says that early morning bathing is a right of everybody. Of course, today may not take in the morning or may not even. So, but Padma Purana says just like that. That was a what he called analogy given or example. Just like that, it is a right to take bath everybody in the month of March. So similarly, it is a right of everyone. Padma Purana says that one should practice Krishna consciousness, nobody can take. And then in the Skanda Puran, there is more evidence in the Skanda Puran. Are you able to find? Are you able to look at that? Yeah. Skanda Puran in the Kasi Khanda portion, where it is said that in the country known as Mayura Dhwaj, the lower caste people who are considered less than Shudras are also initiated in the Vaishnava cult of devotional service, and when they are properly dressed with the tilak on their bodies and beads in their hands and on the necks, they appear to be coming from Vaikuntha. In fact, they look so beautiful that immediately they surpass the ordinary Brahmanas. So Skanda Puran Mayur Dhwaj, that if even if you are a Shudra, if you put tilak, chant Krishna's holy name, and you look so beautiful that you are coming from the other realm. Yes, Prabhu.
This example of taking bath early, why specifically Mahatma?
It is very auspicious that it is very cold. It is very cold to take, and
it is the month of Krishna. Among the months I mark.
And there is many scriptural evidences that one should take bath. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally went there during the Kumbh Mela, and that is the time Kumbh Mela comes actually. So that one should take bath in the confluence of the rivers, which is Prayagraj, Ganga, Yamuna, and the invisible Mother Saraswati. And the third example is given in Hari Bhakti Vilas, that Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is the next paragraph, Vaishnava Guide. Here it is clearly stated that any person who is properly initiated in the Vaishnava cult certainly becomes a Brahmana as much as the metal known as Kashyap is turned into gold by mixture of mercury. Similarly, a bona fide spiritual master under the guidance of authorities can turn anyone into the Vaishnava cult so that naturally he may come to the topmost position of Brahmana.
Worshipper of Neel Madhav, Vishnu, he was also belongs to very
Shavara
Savar
caste.
Savari also.
That the caste is called Shavara. Shavara caste. This those who are worshipping Jagannath Ji. Jagannath. Yes, so they were from this. So it does not depend on anything else. And of course, the initiation should not be taken. Next is the once initiated. So here one important point Prabhupada writes that Srila Rupa Goswami warns here. If a person is properly initiated by bona fide spiritual master, he should not think that simply by the acceptance of such initiation his business is then finished. So now he's just alerting us that it does not depend on birth and everything. So now I got initiated, so I can be relaxed. No. If after accepting the spiritual master and being initiated, one does not follow the rules and regulation, then he is again fallen, because one cannot be going against the, because Srila Prabhupada says that once one start practicing Krishna consciousness, it is considered as the raising the war against Maya. And if you cannot practice devotional service very sincerely and very single-pointedly, there is every chance, even if one is initiated, that one can actually be fall down. There is nothing can be protected. One can say, "Oh, I have now taken initiation. I have immunity against everything," but one may be in illusion, and that is why one must be very vigilant to remember that he is the part and parcel of the Lord Sri Krishna, and it is a duty to give service to the Krishna. If we do not render service to Krishna, then we may again fall down. There are many examples, so many examples. Prabhupada's time that people were, somebody asked Swamiji, so and so lepers, and Swamiji said, Prabhupada said, don't be astonished that who has gone. Be astonished that somebody is take back Krishna, we practicing Krishna consciousness. This is such a rare that practicing Krishna consciousness, and we are so fortunate by the mercy of our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada that we got this as such opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness. We should definitely not miss this opportunity, and it is a great fortune that, how many of you think that it's a great fortune that we practice Krishna consciousness, right? It's a great fortune, and this great, so when we say great fortune, that doesn't mean that we are qualified, and then somebody, no, we absolutely no what qualification we have got. Any question on birth? We are clear, right? So that is Srila Prabhupada's relevance of ISKCON all over the world is a wonderful example, living example that Prabhupada has established. Now what about purity? Do we need to have purity? That not a prerequisite in determining one's eligibility into bhakti. Now for example, that before you practice, how many of you have gone to some Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga? They went to the forest somewhere in the Himalayas or caves, they practiced something and then they qualified, they got the certificate, and then they came to Srila Prabhupada's mission that, okay, now I am qualified, can you allow? We're actually doing that. Did we purify ourselves before practicing Krishna consciousness? What purification? We are completely into the well of darkness, and by the mercy of someone actually given some way, and then that is how practice. So not a prerequisite in determines one's eligibility. And as we discussed earlier, the prayachitta, that if we do some nonsense, okay, that was Rupa Goswami saying that. Where is prayachitta? Somewhere else here.
Yoga 54.
Where Mata? Can you read? So prayachitta. Yes, I got it. See, Rupa Goswami says that if one is regularly discharging devotional service, there will be no question of fall down. So what Prabhupada is saying that, how can we immune to all this attack of Maya? If one is regularly discharging devotional service, there will be no question of fall down. But even if circumstantially there is some fall down, the Vaishnava need have nothing to do with prayachitta. What is the prayachitta? Prayachitta is the ritualistic ceremony for purification. So one does not need to go. Are you able to look at that? Yes. If someone falls down, then what should we do? If someone falls down from the principles of devotional service, he need not take to the prayachitta performances for the reformation. He simply has to follow or execute the rules and regulations of discharging devotional service, and that is sufficient for his reinstatement. That is the mystery of the Vaishnava cult. Bhakti itself is a purity. Bhakti is the means, and bhakti is also goal. So does not mean that you find some other means to achieve something else. When we start practicing Krishna consciousness, how do we begin? By chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And when we purify ourselves, what do we do? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So our means to get achieved, like for example, if you have to get a job, so you have to get some means, right? You have to study this and that and you qualify, and then you get a job. So mean and goal, there is a difference. But in bhakti, the means itself is a goal itself is a means. And Srimad Bhagavatam 11.20.2, the best qualification for pure devotional services, follow the regulative principle given by Acharya. If you see that, Lord Krishna says to Uddhava, the distinction between towards the end of this, the distinction between the qualification and disqualification may be made in this way. Persons who are already elevated in discharging devotional service will never again take shelter of the process of fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. If one sticks to devotional service and is conducted by the regulative principles given by authorities and acharya, that is the best qualification. So the best qualification is that, what is the best qualification?
One sticks to devotional service.
And is conducted by the regulative principles given by authorities and acharya, that is the best qualification. Be attentive to this answer. So purity, so bhakti does not even depend on purity as well. Now what about varnashram dharma? Does it depend on varnashram dharma? Does it depend on varnashram dharma? No. Only brahmana. So what are the 4 varnas and 4 ashramas? What is the 4 varnas? And the 4 ashramas? So there is a duty of each one of them, and we know that all the duties of varna and ashrama is only for one particular purpose, and which is a samsiddhi harikoshanam. And if you are not doing that, srama eva hi kevalam. So does not mean that devotional service is not dependent on the proper execution of the prescribed duties. It is not accurate to say that. It is not accurate to say that one must first become purified in varnasrama and then concentrate on bhakti. Srila Rupa Goswami cites many evidences to confirm this. Okay, can we read this translation? 1.5.70 Srimad Bhagavatam.
This statement is supported in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 5th chapter, verse 70, wherein Sri Narada Muni advises Vyasadeva thus: even if one does not execute a specific occupational duty, but immediately takes direct shelter of the lotus feet of Hari Krishna, there will be no fault on his part, and in all circumstances his position is secure. Even if by some bad association he falls down while executing devotional service, or if he does not finish the complete course of devotional service and dies untimely, since he is not at a loss. A person who is simply discharging his occupational duty in Varna and Ashrama, however with no Krishna consciousness, practically does not gain the true benefit of human
life. So the purport is that the condition, there are two things it is said that even if one does not execute his specific occupational duties, but immediately takes direct shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Hari, there will be no fault on his part. So that means even if you are not practicing Varna and Asrama, but you can begin the devotional service, but it does help that. And what if one is not taking Krishna consciousness and but just doing the Varnashram Dharma, then a person who is simply discharging his occupational duty in Varna and Ashrama, you are able to locate that, right?
Yes.
However, with no Krishna conscious, practically does not gain the true benefit of the human life. Some Siddhir Hari Toshanam, if you are not doing that, Srama Eva Hi Kevalam. So he does not actually get any benefit by doing that. So 11.32. Uddhava, my dear Uddhava, any person who takes shelter of me in complete surrender and follows my instruction, giving up all occupational duties, he is considered to be the first class man. So, if who take the shelter of Lord Sri Krishna and if giving up all the occupational duties, and he is considered to be the first class man. Do you remember any shloka from Bhagavad Gita that don't worry about all other dharmas? Famous shloka 18.66. Sarva dharman pariteja. So give up all this other religion, whether this religion, that religion, and all the things. But what is that? You come sarva dharman pariteja. Mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshasya. My dear Uddhava, so Lord Krishna is saying to Uddhava here, who is taking the instructions. Of course, we also have here this is a very famous shloka 11.5.41, which actually says that this is saying by Karbhajan Muni to the Maharaj Nimi. Is saying that, O king, can you read translation?
Only one who has given up all material duties and has taken full shelter of the lotus feet of the Mukunda, who offers shelter to all, is not indebted to the demigods, great sages, ordinary living beings, relatives, friends, mankind, or even one's forefathers who have passed away, since all such classes of living entities are part and parcel of Supreme Lord. One who has surrendered to the Lord's service has no need to serve such persons
separately. Sometimes we might be having doubt, if I am practicing Krishna consciousness, by the way that one is actually indebted to all these things. Devars is Bhutanam, Nunam, Pitranam, Kinkara, Na Annem Runincha Rajan, Sarvatma is Sharanam, watering the root. If you water the everything is actually nourished, branches, all the twigs and fruits and flowers, everything is taken. Sorry, the Karbhasing, the Maharaj Nimi, that one is indebted, but if you practice Krishna consciousness, Devars is Bhutanam, Pitranam, so it is said that ordinary livings, relatives, friends, mankind, even Devatas, forefathers, Devars is all those things that one is not, but it is a good practice that one can do that. There is a famous. Sorry, Mataji.
For practicing devotee service.
So even the practicing, because once we are engaged in the devotional service, or the people, and it is good that one can, it help us. It is that now simple thing that now we go outside, and last many weeks there was no Suryadev, right? And you feel that without Suryadev, and when you see Suryadev, you offer obeisances. There is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong. Being grateful, because when we develop that attitude of being grateful, the attitude of being grateful is the seed of love. Then only we can actually develop a love for Krishna, and practicing devotee understand. Yes, it is a Suryadev he is giving, but beyond that there is someone that is none other than our Lord Krishna. But expressing our gratitude to them, there is absolutely no worshipping. I mean, giving service to our parents. There is nothing wrong into that. But the point here is that does not depend on anything else. If you do these things, if you have fear of that, if you are doing things, there is no absolutely any problem of doing that. There is nothing to be scared or afraid of anything. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Give of all, page number 50, 18.66. It says that if you give up, in Bhagavad Gita it says that give up all your occupation and just become surrender unto me. I give you protection from all silly actions. Number 51, these things. Again, 11.5.42, next sloka, that was 11.5.41. Again, the next sloka, 11.5.42. One who has thus given up all other engagements, the lotus feet of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is very dear to the Lord. Indeed, if such a surrendered soul accidentally commits some sinful activity, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is seated within everyone's heart, immediately takes away the reaction to the sin. Which fall down? How? Which fall down? Accidentally, not meditatively, not intently doing some sinful activities. And now I know 11.5.40 King Muni Karvajan has said to the King Nimi that even if you do something from fall down, Krishna seated in my heart will take care of me. No, it is not for that. Intentionally or meditatively. What is different between accidental and intentional? Janbujke. And something that circumstantially one may be forced to something, do something, so that kind of accidental fall down is that. So what is the conclusion?
Devotional service does not need any prerequisites.
Bhakti yoga is totally independent and self-sufficient, very important. No material impedance should discourage one from the path of surrender. And that is why Bhakti is not dependent on anything. Whether you are born here or there, whether you are rich or poor, whether you are male or female, whether you are boy or you are old age, or whether you are born in India or things or Hindu or somebody else, completely independent on that. That is the conclusion of, and that is why the title of this particular chapter Srila Prabhupada is given. What is the title of this particular chapter? So what do you mean by purity of devotional service? So how do you understand that Bhakti is pure?
It does not need any external things.
Bhakti itself is sufficient, and there is no other external required to do something to practice Bhakti or even to praya chitta. That's the end of chapter 5, and let us see that.
One doubt is there.
Anji.
When we do, even by mistake, we do some Vaishnava aparadha, then there is some yoga purification, we do some prasthita. So, what do you want?
Vaishnava aparadha, what prayaschitta we can do for Vaishnava aparadha? There is no
Ask
prayaschitta.
forgiveness.
So that is again going to the bhakta only, right? So that's not the, that is again realm of bhakti, right? Going to some bhakta and he forgives that. So it's not something outside of bhakti. And it is only who is going to forgive that? Devotees only. So it's finally bhakta only, right? Those who have bhakti. And how can he forgive unless and until he has bhakti? Because without bhakti, all these qualities cannot actually sustain. We have so many motivational speakers today that one can motivate people, but they can be there for 1 day or 2 days, and when the circumstances, with the situation, by the inclination of one's nature, that one actually commit the same activity again. But see that the power of bhakti, just by practicing Krishna consciousness, how many of us has actually given up so many bad habits? Do we accept that?
Yes.
So it is, the praychitta is not outside of that. Please understand again, we are not going outside of the bhakti realm. Bhakti is within the bhakti. We are not going some other tablet taking outside and coming back and then our fever is gone. No, not like that. Oh, there is only one question there. What should a devotee do if he falls down while doing the devotional service? He goes outside, practice something and come back to bhakti. What should a devotee do if he falls down while practicing devotional service? So if you very specific, will get out of our. If someone falls down from the principle of devotional service, he need not take to prior chitta, which is the performances of reform. He has simply execute the rules. Manish Prabhu said nicely to take rules and regulations for discharging devotional service, and that is the sufficient for his reinstatement, and that is the mystery of Vaishnava culture. Of course, that is not needed.
What is the rules and regulations of performing devotional service?
What are the rules and regulations for performing devotional service? Chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, practicing devotional services like what are the Navavida Bhaktis? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Shravanam. And there is some things that which help us that not to go outside of that. But to begin devotional service, it does not depend again anything else. Within the realm of this, within the realm of Bhakti that one can practice things. Now, henceforward, till chapter 14, now, okay, once now Rupa Goswami has given the devotional service, and especially what is the sadhana bhakti, sadhana bhakti's main points or definition of sadhana bhakti. One of the definition of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, that the impetus comes from the scripture and the rules and regulations is given in scripture. So that is why one practice according to the rules and regulations. So what is the important aspect of sadhana bhakti? Exactly, engaging senses. So body, mind and senses. Now Rupa Goswami, starting from the chapter 6 till chapter 14, what is going to tell us? What are the different ways that one can engage our body, mind and senses and everything, our vakcha and things, in the engagement of Krishna consciousness. And he gives, how many angas he gives? 64 angas that he gives. So chapter 6 is nothing but the list of all these 64 angas. There is nothing else in this chapter. It is just the list of all the 64 angas that one can actually engage into devotional service. Of course, this is just. So chapter 2 defined sadhana bhakti as engaging our senses in some service to Krishna. Now Srila Rupa Goswami describes how to do this from this chapter onwards. Now Rupa Goswami, where did he take all these 64 angas? What is the source of that? Because he is also not taking from somewhere else. It is coming from Hari Bhakti Vilas. There is a shloka here. Hari Bhakti Vilase Asya Bhaktir Angani Laksha. Thank you. Okay, let me just go this. Anyway, this is, we are not going again. You all know now, right? The chapter divisions and all things. Chapter defines sadhana bhakti as engaging our senses, we discussed. And chapter 6, now Rupa Goswami shows that how to do that. Yes. Hari Bhakti Vilase Asya Bhaktir Angani Lakshasaha Kintu Tani Prasiddhani Nirdeshanti Yathatmati. Without reading the translation, Hari Bhakti, no, I cannot put hand here. So what is the translation? Hari Bhakti Vilase Asya Bhaktir Angani Lakshasa. In Hari Bhakti, how many angas been mentioned?
64.
No. Many Laksha. In a way saying that many are given. Kintu. But Tani Prasiddhani, those are very important. Nirdeyanti, I am giving here Yathatmati. So that is what Rupa Goswami is saying. This is from Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu, chapter 1.2.72. Translation: in Hari Bhakti Vilas, innumerable angas of bhakti are mentioned. Among those, the most famous Prasiddhanti will be explained to the best of my judgment. Who is saying this? Rupa Goswami. So now Rupa Goswami is not giving. So there is now one important point Srila Prabhupada writes here, that the if you see in the beginning of the 6th chapter, that Hari Bhakti Vilas for guidance of Vaishnava, there has been mentioned many rules and regulations, and some of them are very important, and Rupa Goswami will now mention these very important things. So now Rupa Goswami is going to mention only principle, and he is not going to mention detail. Now what does it mean? Prabhupada gives here that. So principle is given, the details can vary from one person to other person or spiritual master. The principle is that surrender unto Guru. This is the principle. Now one Guru may say that you engage into deity worship, one Guru may explain one that you go in preaching, one may say that you read scriptures. So the details can vary, time, place and circumstances. However, principle remains same. Where Rupa Goswami, now what Rupa Goswami is going to explain here, is Rupa Goswami going to explain the principle or detail? Rupa Goswami is going to explain only the principles, not a detail. Exactly how one follows the instructions of a spiritual master is considered detail. For example, one is following the instruction of spiritual master, that instruction is different from the instruction from another spiritual master. That is called detailed information. But the principle of acceptance of spiritual master is good everywhere, although the details may vary. Srila Rupa Goswami does not wish to enter into the details here, but just want to place only the principles. So Prabhupada has given the principles, and the details may example, the details, and a very wonderful example that Srila Prabhupada had changed the details. According to the time, place and circumstances. Exactly. So especially the chanting is the very wonderful example that Srila Prabhupada has said that it was Mukunda Goswami that discussion with Srila Prabhupada that because those who are not chanting 64 rounds, they are not considered even human. They are considered as they are fall down. So then Prabhupada initial days that Prabhupada told that one must chant 64 rounds every single day. And then when the devotees, especially Mukunda Goswami, went to Srila Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, it is not possible to chant 64 rounds. It will take the practically whole day. And when can we do so many other activities? And Prabhupada said, 32. And then devotee said, Prabhupada, this is not possible. Then what did he do? 16 rounds. That's all. That's all. Not less than that. Sisi Gandhavika Giridhari Bhagavan Narsinghdev Bhagavan ki se, Gaur Nitai ki se, Shri Goswami Kundan ki Guru Parampara ki se, Srila Prabhupada ki se. So now question may come, can we also change details sitting here? Now, okay, Kali Yuga, Bangalore devotees are busy, they are chala busy in practicing Krishna consciousness, and because of many other things, work is also 9 to 6 and things. Okay, instead of 16 rounds, can we bring down to only 8 rounds? Now, who can change? Only acharyas can change. Not because why this is so important. Tomorrow, all of us young devotees here may take some big role, and then we have to be very careful that when we actually go ahead and say that Srila Prabhupada told 1967, now we are in 21st century or 22nd century. This is not practical now. Now let's from 16 rounds bring down to the 4 rounds. Releasing Bhagavatam, associating with the like-minded devotees, Nama Sankirtana, chanting the name of Mandalastika, and serving the deities. Priti Shraddha Sri Murter Angra Sevani. So 60, 61, 62, 63, 64. So those are the 5 atoms which are most potent. So there are most important and there are most. What are the most important? First 3 and most potent last 5. So the last 5 is that deity worship, relishing Bhagavatam, Vaishnava association and Nama Sankirtan and Mathura Mandala Sthita. That means residing in the with all the things. And any other things about time and material ingredients? Using everything in the service of Krishna. Any example?
Smelling flowers.
Sorry, Matan?
Smelling flowers.
Smelling flowers. Very good.
Tasting Mahaprasad.
Mahaprasadam. Maybe.
17.
Whatever the resources that we have, somebody, one devotee said that giving money to offering our things, ingredients, right? Money is that offering to Krishna. So there are different ways that one can engage into devotional service. Of course, we will go from chapter 7 till 14, one by one, into that. List the first 3 of the 64 items of sadhana. Either in English or Sanskrit. In bracket 1.5 m. List the first 3 of the 64 items of sadhana in English or Sanskrit. Guru Pad Ashraya, Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam, Vishram Vena Guru Seva. Out of the first 20 items of sadhana, which are considered the most important?
First 3.
Out of the 20, the first 3 are namely accepting the shelter of the bona fide spiritual master. I think this is more of it. Taking initiation from him and serving him with respect are the most important. List the 5 most potent items of sadhana. Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavata Shravan, Mathura Vas, Sri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevan.
Why is this important? List important.
Most potent.
5 most potent items of sadhana. Potent means
Very
Very
powerful.
powerful, potency, Shakti. So that is the word potent. So that is very simple.
Where do we get the Sanskrit one what we have been talking? Because this book does not have the all the question is you have to either Sanskrit or
Anyway, in the question that we already said 3, only 3 that will be. If you want, where is chapter 6? So I have all these are there. If you want, you can take the photocopy of all those things. And also Sanskrit word as well as English of that. So that ends the chapter. Very happy. Huh? Okay, we'll pause here. Take a 5-minute break. Oh, Krishna. Oh my God. You just go to the Hare Krishna. So this is considered. Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, tomorrow Abhishekam is there after school here?
No, we are not. So, Prabhu, I have some 2-3 minutes. Are there? Can you check how many have done the homework? Because morning we did not ask that. What was the homework? You ask and get summary of how many and how many quotes were there. I have 2 more minutes to go. Check, personally, one check all who has not done this.
काली रात्रि 9 देखला पर फोटो
इस मतलब
five members.
out of
The first doubt is first the importance that we should do. People treat.
we will come that one by one will come. We are the next. So all the 7th chapter onwards is every detail.
Okay, okay. I thought now it's done.
No. So that is the. Of course, we will not go all details one by one, but that is I said no. This is just beginning, and we will go now that one by
But
one.
still, Prabhu, I like one two points having hunting my mind.
Yeah, bro, tell me.
What is the third point I have in Hindi? मंदिर या मठ बनवाने में अधिक उत्साह दिखाना. But one of our Maharaj is having given instructions.
So we will come to that point, but important aspect of that is that one should not be very enthusiastic building the big temples. That is, I think, is after 10. This is not the first 10.
Yes, yes.
This is in not.
Yeah,
It is to be avoided. So the point here is that Prabhupada says that Rupa Goswami has shown by his own example that Raja Man Singh, and he has a temple. You see that Sanatan Goswami built the 3-5 story temple at that time by Man Singh ji, who has given a donation. So by engaging someone in that service, that is one aspect of that can be done, and Rupa Goswami himself has done that. Second thing is that it should be not with our whole purpose. Our whole purpose is to. Second thing is that by doing that, it is not that one should get some prestige that I build the temple and do that. If our intention is that, definitely not to be done. So there are some conditions, star marks are there, that if you are doing with that, please do not do that. And there is another question that we should not have many disciples. That is one question be there, right? There is one point is that we should not have many disciples also there. I think 12 or 13. 12. Not being attached or not to have many unfit disciples. So again, that if Prabhupada has given the point that if we are having a disciples for one's false prestige and that honor, definitely false honor, that is not recommended. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, to distribute the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, sometimes one may accept unqualified, and by the mercy of Guru, they can actually come to that. But it is not that I am doing that the false prestige and honor, it is not for that purpose. But Srila Prabhupada has also given instruction that you can make many disciples, right? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said that you can do that, but in a proper attitude. So here, what is actually important is that not to get into the false pride, prestige, or false honor that I am building a temple or I am having many disciples. These two are, is the same thing that is being addressed there. Let me go to 12. Anything else, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. One more point I want.
Yeah. So before accepting disciples, one should be examine whether a prospective student is sincerely seeking bhakti. If not, unqualified devotees should not be accepted. If it's that if I increase the number of disciples, I'll get some prestige and honor, such a guru will fall down. But the spirit that if we do not make disciples, our sampradaya will come down, right? Then who will actually propagate this? So for that, so there is a balance. So there are both the points. So the importance, Srila Prabhupada has given instruction. Array dekh, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, array dekhi tare kahe. He may that is my instruction, and you become a guru. So that is also there. So the many disciples and then obligations may have, but he shouldn't act in such a way that he will be obligate them for some particular favor. That I ask, do some favor for me. If that is the particular point, then not to like to show off that I have.
Bhagavatam is also part of Bhakti. But since he is not devotee, how can we preach or how can he read the Bhagavatam?
Now the question that when you practice Krishna, begin the devotional service, then we need to follow all these rules and regulations, which is given by Rupa Goswami. That how can we? So anukullesha sankalpa pratikulesha varjanam. So it is not that automatically it will come. We also have to put endeavor. And that endeavor is doing all those things. I think you have something else in mind.
Then how can we decide that ये person जो है it's a devotee? Because if we are preaching outside,
that is, we go outside and we preach. We never say that we are qualified or unqualified. And when you do that, those who are qualified or those who are sincere because of their previous things, they will come automatically. How many contacts you had? Rath Yatra, how many contacts you had?
by preaching only.
How many you had?
More than 100.
How many people came?
Around 60, 70.
60, 70. After 9 sessions, how many will you stay back?
Then we have to wait.
So why that? If everybody is taking, why it's not there?
Because of the previous.
One can start, but the attraction has to be there. That attraction comes, and you are when we are doing this program. So what we are doing that we discuss this point. How do you build service? You get more attraction. Premi Mataji was saying, and then you do this thing. But how do we begin that? So what was that? Mercy. That Agyat Sukruti. And how do we do the Agyat Sukruti? Prasad distribution. And since it was Janmashtami, before Janmashtami, we started engaging in them, calling them for inviting for Janmashtami. So by that, they create some Agyat Sukruti, and because of that Agyat Sukruti, one can actually begin that. The attraction can begin that. Now, who is giving that attraction? Devotee. So without the bhakta, there is no question of bhakti. You cannot give bhakti unless and until I have bhakti. Unless you have money, you cannot give money to somebody else. So you should have that bhakti. And the bhakti is the power of attorney Lord Krishna has given to his devotees. And those devotees actually gives bhakti to everybody, right? Everybody. So that we are not going into the judgment. That is not our prerequisite to check magnifying glass. Oh, this is devotee, will give him. He is not devotee. That is not what Srila Prabhupada told us. That is not what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Yare dekhe tare kahe. You see, you give Krishna Upadesha. Srila Prabhupada Vyas Puja day or Srila Prabhupada Vyas Puja day or Sunday feast when we had. How many people were there beginning?
Not even 10.
10 people were not there. I mean, at the time of Prasadam,
100 people.
100 people. Prabhu was just telling me, I said, this is the statistic that we have. So the point here is that when we are giving this program, that it is Agyat Sukruti. It is giving opportunity to that somebody has done 10%, they will start 11% somewhere. So our service is because we are helping them? No. Why we are doing? Because our founder Acharya told us to do that. That is what we are doing. Are we qualified? Absolutely not qualified. Qualification come from them. We are just, whatever he said that we are repeating there, right? We have absolutely no qualification. At least I don't think that I have any qualification to do that. It's only by their mercy we can do something, and that will happen by. So doing program and studying Bhagavatam among devotees, I don't see there is any conflict. Anybody sees conflict here between doing program and reading Bhagavatam among the devotees?
Doing program is not detailed yesterday. We are not doing like this. Basic thing is what.
Even they might be having previous some Agyat Sukruti, then only they came in our contact. Otherwise, it is impossible. Because there are lakhs and crores of people in Bangalore, only few meet the devotees.
Okay.
So if you find AECS, we need to give Prashadam. That's what Prabhupada says. So that's what we do.
And this is good point that if somebody is not doing bhakti, how can we develop the attraction for bhakti unless we give prasadam? right? So some of the things which help us to create the Agyat Sukruti. Now, do you know that some devotees came 2024 Janmashtami, today they are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Had that the program not been there, how many of you would have been there? How many of you were recipient that somebody came on the road and gave a book and then you read that book and you came? Somebody had given some prasadam somewhere and in train something happened. Somebody just met Srila Prabhupada in a flight and they became a devotee.
Somebody just took
Tilak and they become a devotee. So don't mix things which are differently intended and differently. Studying Bhagavatam is much systematic, sincere, and scrutinizingly doing that. And that can be done those who have attraction. We call for so many people, come for 1 hour. They will not come. Because in India, it is only for that you go to the our service is not that. That's a judgmental thing. Yes, this one. And you are.
Prabhu got confused with the envious we should not teach. So how should I find who is envious?
Not required.
Yeah.
And you.
It's written in Hindi. Since I'm reading inside.
My target was to finish the chapter 7. and chapter 17. Chapter 7 has 18 items to be discussed.
So I'm reading exact line in English. One should relish the pleasure of Bhagavatam reading among devotees and not among outsiders.
Yeah, that is what we do. Bhagavatam, how many have come? Janmashtami, how many people visited here? 18,000 people. Bhagavatam class, how many come? 25 people come. And that too only at 10:30. Right, so anyway, come. So the point here is that those who are sincere, they will come, and those who are not anyways, they automatically not come. You announce that we have Bhagavad study, how many of will come? Nobody will come. So reading, I'm still failing to understand. And among us, did anyone understand exactly what is the Prabhu's point? My point is that those who are not envious, they will automatically come. Those who are envious, they will not come.
They will not stay on.
And we are supposed to read among things, automatically those who are not envious. Here, what do you mean by envious? Exactly.
So still my doubt is, why should I consider the outsiders or devotees, non-devotees? This is my part of giving the class of Bhagavatam. I'm giving. Whether someone is coming or not.
They won't be able to
They will be
understand.
more in detail drafting.
Yes, let's see one by one. Yes, Prabhu.
You already told basic things just like the chanting the holy names of the Lord and whatever the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, we can give these basic things. Why you have to go to this Srimad Bhagavatam center? Because just like a Ramananda Rai, these things. In the past session, we can give some basic to all the people without discriminating who is and what.
No,
So we
even
should not discuss anything
even
Srimad
Sunday
Bhagavatam or
class.
something like regarding to basic things and just proceed for the other questions.
No, even in Bhagavatam classes, Sunday feast classes,
Some new people.
new people comes.
Yes.
You don't know like who is the devotee or not.
I've seen when some envious person will sit in Bhagavatam class, he will not sit for more than 5 minutes, he will just leave. Or what will happen?
प्रभु जी के क्लास में जो प्रभु जी एक क्लास ले रहे थे वो आदमी पूरा क्लास बैठ के लास्ट में प्रभु जी को
बाद में आर्ग्यूमेंट करेगा और नेक्स्ट टाइम कभी नहीं आएगा.
Okay, so now there is another
but
consideration.
we are doing our part now. We are
Yeah.
speaking Bhagavatam.
Oh, okay. Now it will actually give some solace to you, Chandan Prabhu. The solace is that because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told us to do that, so we are doing that.
We are under instruction.
So Srila Prabhupada has gone to the United States of America, and when he is on the Jaladuta, he writes, "Oh my Lord, why did you send me here? These people absolutely defy all the regulatory principle. I do not know how they will understand the mercy, but I know you have brought me here. There must be some purpose. Make me dance, make me dance, oh my Lord, make me dance as your puppet, right? So this is the instruction given by us. So now for us it is instruction that we should not discuss. Now if you are one-on-one, I am discussing or you are discussing with some other person and you see that he is very envious, stop that. When as soon as you get that, you know that there is some kind of light went on and then he is arguing, and how do you know he is envious? As soon as is that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and he feels some uncomfortable, then you know that uneasiness, then he is envious of Lord Krishna. Or even if you glorify the devotee, he feels, oh, how is that you are glorifying? Then immediately you say that, not stop here. Why we should do that? Why one should do that?
Because he will
Do
do
not get more offenses.
more offenses.
So, once Prabhupada, one devotee, Srila Prabhupada said that don't do that. And one devotee was about to do, and he came to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, shall I do that? And this was not in the prescribed rules and regulations. Prabhupada said, you do that. And some disciples later asked Prabhupada, why did you say that? Prabhupada said that, even if I would have said not do that, he would have still did that. And because it would have been Guru Avagya, so I said, okay, at least you do that. So, for us, when you see something that there is something problem, let us restrain ourselves not to do that. And you will easily understand that, oh, he is not comfortable. Let's pause there, not to get it. Because why?
He will do more.
They will do more offenses. And it is for the benefit of that people. Is not to avoid some people. The mood is to avoid that so that it's not to, so that they don't engage into the sinful. You right? One sadhu has given blessing to 4 people in 4 different ways. He said that you better die. One person said better die, because if you awake, I mean, so you are alive, you will make more sinful act. Better you die so that you can stop that. So right, depend upon the circumstances, one may have to take a decision. So this is for the benefit of the recipient, the benefit for the audience. So everything you are doing for the benefit under the guidance of spiritual master and our founder Acharya Srila, and you are stopping something is under the guidance of last week on Janmashtami day we went to the Prestige Q Garden and they have given some slot for the class. None of us were here, right? And Kirtan. So they were so much of chaos and they are not at all interested. Finally we said Hare Krishna, and we stopped there. And few words we spoken and came back. And we spent 2 to 3 hours just to do that. So sometimes we say that it is not favorable, just pause it. Prabhupada sometimes would say that, okay, you are anyways. He would not say anything, he will just leave from it.
Now it's clear. One more point.
Sthane gati hai. Is that the one?
भगवान का ध्यान अपने सखा रूप में करें.
The 2 feet that go to the Lord's Tirtha are place where such traveling animals want to cross over the dangerous desert of
Last 44 item में 28.
chapter 7. Chapter it is mentioned there. You read page number 6. I don't know.
Now it's clear.
No, just read that and we'll finish that. Okay, did you see that the title offering respect to banyan tree?
Yeah.
And what is the last line?
All of this process will help the devotees to diminish the essence of this past sinful activities.
That's all. Prabhupada did not mention why particularly banning entry. One thing we need to remember here that when Hari Bhakti Vilas Sanatan Goswami is giving, Sanatan Goswami definitely will have some scriptural references. Without scriptural references, nothing would come. It is not that out of blue moon Sanatan Goswami has given. Prabhupada has said that this will help us for your diminishing your sinful reaction. That we can take and move ahead. If we want to go further, probably we will have to do some search and see why only banning entry. Then we will have to find that. At least here I did not find. So it will be difficult to speculate unless and until there is some. And I am referring at least two speakers or three speakers classes I am here. None of them had mentioned that reason. And I am also referring 2-3 books as well. So for particular, because it's a very technical topics. Before we say something, it should be some referential there.
Amlaka tree is what?
Avla.
Amlaka.
Three things Prabhupada said: banyan tree, tulsi, and amla. So offering respects, it will help us to purify our sinful acts.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Chandan Prabhu thought that we finished all the things and we will not discuss. But that's before that I said that this is just list from chapter 7 onwards till chapter 14. We will go one by one. And even if we do not find the answer, you can go back and see what Prabhupada has given. Now, there is the next article to that, inquiring about the eternal religious principle. Prabhupada has said, in Naradi Purana, it is said that if one is actually very serious about devotional service, then all of the purposes will be served without any delay. One is very serious about devotional service. Now the point is inquiring about eternal religious principle. Prabhupada says that one is very serious, just one line he says and then stops that. Now if somebody says what are the eternal principles and why one should be inquired, Prabhupada says that if one is actually serious about devotional service, then all of his purposes will be served without delay. All of his purposes will be served without delay. So Prabhupada does not mention any scriptural references for that on anything. And for that, actually what happened, Prabhupada has given a summary study. One thing, if you have to go, there will be Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu, each and everything there will be shloka. Rupa Goswami has quoted or composed from Hari Bhakti Vilas, and then there will be evidences given that why this is important. So sometimes you will have the evidence, sometimes Prabhupada will just give 1 or 2 lines and move on. Inquiring over. Sadharma Prucha. That is the point. Point number 5. Sadharma Prucha. Inquiring about Bhakti. If one is, this is number 5. If one is actually serious about Bhakti, then one will quickly attain all desired goals.
First.
After following the Acharya, the 4th, very 5th.
फिफ्थ इज कृष्ण भावना में अग्रसर होने के लिए गुरु से जिज्ञासा करना.
अब चैप्टर 7 चैप्टर 7 का पाठ.
Okay. I will read it.
What is the 5th point? After following the Acharyas? After the following Acharyas.
पुराण में क्या है कि जो भक्ति के विषय में गंभीर है उसके सारे कार्य अविलंब पूरे होंगे.
That's all. That nothing is given. So Prabhupada just give one liner of that. So now either we have to speculate, that is not the good things. What Prabhupada has done summary study, we just study on that. Now why this, why not that? And but for your point, he has given that. Okay. The first point in the 7th chapter is that, what is the first point? Accepting the shelter of, and what is the Sanskrit word for that?
Shri Guru Pada.
Guru Pada Ashraya. And then immediately very famous shloka that we quote here, Tasmat Gurum Prapadyate Jitnyasu Shreya Uttapam Shabde Parecha Nishnanta Brahmane Upasamasrayam. Therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek 64 angas. How many of us think that we would have gone the living entity? Why we are suffering? The inquiries that one start doing, that inquiries about the spiritual topics, and by doing that spiritual topic, one actually comes close to Krishna by the mercy of spiritual master. Without guidance and directions of the spiritual master, one cannot actually come closer to Krishna. And that is why taking the shelter of the lotus feet of one of our spiritual master is very important. Somebody may say that I can read book, and then did we see anybody reading the medical books and becoming a doctor? He need books, but he also need a guide. He need a teacher. Anything that we take in the material world, that we definitely need teacher, and without that one cannot actually practice Krishna consciousness. You cannot become a teacher without getting a teacher. You cannot become engineer without things. You cannot become doctor. You cannot become lawyer unless and until we get trained, right? So similarly, in spiritual practices also, one should be teacher, and one should have one should have a teacher in one's life to know how to do that. Why? Because there is a principle. The principle is that one should accept, so that is to be followed. One of the point is that when the principle is given, to be followed there. Now details may vary. The details may vary. The one teacher may give that, and why one should have that? Because my nature is different, your nature is different, his nature is different, everybody's nature is different. So by having a different nature, what can actually suit to that particular person? Because Prabhupada says that there is a spark, and we have to fan the spark. So what does it mean? That every living entity has some inclination, some proclivity towards some particular activities, and that one has to engage into that particular thing. And you see that is why in the third chapter, one of the duties, one of the questions in the NOD that is that what is the duty of the spiritual master? The duty of the spiritual master is finding the different intellectual means and the ways to engage the devotees, disciples. So that is what the duty of the spiritual master. The spiritual master's role is very important to understand that what is the personality and how this principle can be applied in a detailed way to the particular personalities. And that is what the spiritual master is very important aspect. And Prabhupada uses so many things here.
Prabhupada has made so many artists, those who are good at art.
Exactly. And here it is given that what is the qualification of the spiritual master. It is simply a mistake to think that there is a happiness. Okay. So now why one should actually come to this? It's a very wonderful point. Prabhupada says that. My dear king, please know for certain that in the material world there is no happiness. When one can actually come to the position of taking a spiritual master? Prabhupada gives here quote, Sukadeva Goswami's, Rupa Goswami quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam that, oh my dear king, please know that when one is convinced that there is absolutely no happiness in this material life, and when one renounces that desire to have the happiness in this material world, one is completely convinced, one is completely frustrated in this material, looking for the real happiness. The material happiness, that is just a promise of the material happiness, and one is frustrated. Then if one is really seeking the permanent happiness or the spiritual happiness, then one must seek out of one of our spiritual master and take a shelter of him by initiation. Very beautiful purpose, one sentence. So the need of spiritual master, because when one is seriously seeking the real happiness, permanent happiness, which is beyond the three modes of material nature. And then immediately Prabhupada gives the qualification of the spiritual master. And what are the qualifications of spiritual master?
Follow the scriptures.
Follow the scriptures. He must be realized. The conclusion of the scriptures, yes. He will be able to convince others of this conclusion. Not only that he is expert, but he should also be able to convince others. You see, Srila Prabhupada, so many people come and they will ask some challenging question, but Prabhupada would just completely defeat him, and then he will actually get convinced that Bhakti is the ultimate. So that is the things. So what are the qualifications of the spiritual master? This is the one of the questions that we have. Have realized the conclusion of the scriptures by deliberation and arguments, able to convince others. He should have also taken a shelter of the spiritual master. That means he must come into parampara, and he should have given up all the material consideration, and he should be controlling the six arches. What is that reference coming to the six arches? N1. Prithvim Vacho Vegam, Krodha Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udara Upasta Vegam, Etan Vegan Yoga Vishaya Dhiram. So he is qualified to make a disciple all over the Prithvim, all over the world, one who has controlled these six arches. And what the spiritual master is not. Okay, first is that what he should be realized, convinced, and all the things. This point is nothing but from Prabhupada's book only there. And what he should not be? Prabhupada says that the purport is that one should not accept as a spiritual master someone is the full number one. So that's the first thing, he should not be full number one. Who has no direction according to the scriptural injunction. That means he is acting whimsically. So the spiritual master should be according to the scriptural injunction. So when you do the IDC, there is a point that how can you renounce the spiritual master if he is not according to the spiritual injunction and not according to the whose character is doubtful. He does not follow the principles of devotional service, and opposite to that, who has conquered six arches, here not conquered the six arches.
Also, who is taking away from Krishna?
Sorry, Mataji, who is taking?
Away from the Krishna.
Yes. One who
Takes away from Krishna.
yes, then definitely one should not, and that is how we can, in that scenario, that wonderful point. That means is not according to the, does not follow the principle of devotional service. The devotional service is to engage in Navavida Bhakti. And if somebody says don't do that, there is a full stop. Thank you very much. Right? I think it's 9:30, 25 seconds. I think it's a good time to stop here. We'll pause here. We'll continue this chapter 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, up to 8, 9, 10. Any questions or comments? Of course, we have very good questions more on the topics which we will have discussed later. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sripad Rupa Goswami ki jai. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki jai. These first three are very important.
One,
the accepting the
whatever is written in book, but in the ISKCON, Maharaj is our esteemed or disciples. So in that case, both